Welcome to the She Builds Show. I'm your host, Stefanie Olson, a licensed general contractor who builds new construction, renovates, and designs your vision. Today, more than ever, we need raw, authentic women who are willing to rise above society's norms, break those glass ceilings, and encourage each other to boldly build the life we were meant to live. So, honey, what are you building? Welcome to the She Builds Show. So, Sarah, just take a tiny second and just introduce yourself and kind of a snippet of what you do.
Okay, so I do primarily woodworking. Obviously, that's what my business is based in, but I've seen a ton of interest in the renovation space, which is great because we've been renovating our current house. And so it's really been fun. I get to share all of that via the internet and blogs. I do power tool reviews as well, which is a ton of fun. And I have 2 kids, so they kind of come along for the ride occasionally. And oftentimes will be seen in the background, sort of helping me with a project. But yeah, I primarily focus on woodworking and country.
Okay. And the name of your business?
Oh, yes, obviously. So my business name is Tool-Girls-Garage. We're based out of Texas. And obviously my blog is toolgirlsgarage.com.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. So I just want you to give me a little history. Like, how did you get to where you are? I mean, you can go back as far or as little as you want, but I just how did we end up here?
So it's really funny. I'm one of 3 girls, and my dad was sort of like, when I say the original DIYer, I mean, like, this old house was on the TV 24 hours a day and Bob Vila and all of that. Like, it's all I remember. Like, that was entertainment in the Boyle house when I was a kid. And as I got older, obviously it was more and more interesting to see what he was doing. He ended up starting a construction business on the side. So I got to really see it from that side, not only from, sort of the inner workings of construction itself, but also the business side of it. And then I would say one of the most pivotal things as a kid was seeing him build an addition on the back of my house. So that was like crazy because if you're, I think I was 12 and we were all sharing one room, and now all of a sudden all of us had our own bedrooms, and it was like the biggest deal. And it was such a hero moment for sure, because he did everything from literally pour the slab to I think the one thing he paid out was the roof. Like, that was it. So it was really neat. And as I got older and say bought my first car, he helped me rebuild a lot of that. Really, I would say I helped him rebuild that. And so he was just into everything. I was just always around it. And obviously, as early adulthood, I got married really young. I think I was 19 when I got married. So a baby.
Gosh.
I know, like an infant. Not really, but so we bought our first home. I think I was 21 when we bought our first home. And we've had 3 since. And so it's been kind of one of those odd progressions that I always had this interest or this, I would say, skill set or experience. And it wasn't until I had kids of my own that I really felt like I was missing that in my life, right? In my day-to-day life, because I just realized, I had been going back to school shortly after my son was born. My son has autism. And so I was actually going back to school for neuroengineering. I was really caught up in trying to understand certain things, but his case is really complex. So there's a little more to it. And I kind of realized one day, it was like the most random thing. I was like, I don't enjoy doing that. I love it. I'm curious. I'm interested, but I would rather go spend time in the garage building something. And it was a way him and I connected. And so I think there's just so much, passion and excitement and enthusiasm around, the process of an idea and going from raw materials into this final product. And I definitely, can't imagine doing anything else. The great thing in construction is, you can be in it for 5 years or 50 years and you'll never stop learning.
Right.
It's amazing. Yeah.
So
that's a lot.
No. I just so you never had another job besides.
Yeah, I did. I worked in the apartment industry. I was a property manager there. I worked my first job I got at 15 was at Kroger. That's actually where I met my husband. And I worked through the accounting side of that business, which was great, but also, it was a job, but I didn't enjoy it or love it. I did retail sales stuff, but really once I had my kids, we had very difficult times getting pregnant, and we had a lot of health issues there on my side. And so it was a really rough few years of trying to get pregnant and keep a baby. And then anyway, so, yeah. And again, I was 24 when I had been, so there wasn't a lot of
Yeah, I was going to say, you were still an infant at this time.
Yes, I'm still young. And so I ended up staying home with him. That was really something I felt strongly about. My mom, as a kid, was always really, really busy with work. She was really successful. She works in the insurance industry. And just like my dad, I just was amazed by their, gumption and motivation and ability to kind of like go at something 100%. But I also wanted to be there for every small moment. And I was lucky enough that we got to make the choice for me to be able to do that. So really, when I got back into woodworking, I want to say my son was, oh gosh, when I really started pursuing it more, he was probably 4 at the time.
How old is he now?
He's 11. Yeah, I would do small jobs for people and like small custom work, and obviously did a lot for our house, a lot of furniture. And then it just kind of
like, you just, well, hold on. So you just like went and bought some stuff, or like,
yeah,
how
so
did you?
This is funny too, because so we'd had a few houses, right? And so obviously we had, a good line of tools. We had, a treasure chest, if you will, of, basic tools. And then, I just started adding to it and wanted to build something more complicated. So I bought this tool and that tool. And honestly, my dad has always had one of everything too. So I was lucky enough to be able to borrow a lot of tools in the early days. I know. It really became like a full-time thing probably 5 years ago, 6 years ago, maybe.
And then like, where did the Tool Girls Garage, like, where did that come from? And like, where did that?
Well, it sort of was, it was funny because when people would, especially my husband would tell people what I did, they'd be like, oh yeah, I saw your wife just built this XYZ for so-and-so. And he was like, the joke became like, oh my God, she's like the tool girl. And so it was like a name that stuck. And then I started writing editorial power tool reviews before I really took my side of the woodworking thing kind of full time. Again, I was just doing small jobs. When we bought this house, a lot of it was focused on trying to get, this out of the 1999 era, if you will, which is still stuck in very much so. And I started, writing tool reviews and really enjoyed that. I'm one of those that if you tell me like, okay, here's how you work this nailer, you're going to, remove this safety and hit this trigger. Yeah, that's great. But why? Why does that happen? Like what mechanically happens to make that possible? How does the technology change via generations? So what's happened with the pneumatic versus cartridge versus cordless? Like I am fascinated by all of that. So honestly, the industry of power tools in general is fascinating because how you go from like, I need to solve this problem, I need to be able to do this task, to like, here's this tool that does it, is amazing to me. So I still really enjoy that part. I don't write.
And you kind of started like a blog, right? Was that how that happened?
So initially I was working for another publication and writing kind of for them part-time while I was doing my other stuff. And then I, was more and more involved in them. It was a really great experience. And then when I left that's when I started Tool Girls Garage. I really, and honestly, I thought the first couple of years I would focus 100% on the blog, and I loved it, but it took me away from like building what I was doing with the tools. Right. So it became like this, it's still very much so balance of like, I want to talk about it because that satisfies like a part of my brain, but the reality is I want to make it,
I want to use it.
Yeah. I want to do it, and so it's still a never ending roller coaster of what's getting more attention.
I think it's hard when we are like a multifaceted person and you can't just like do one thing.
Yeah. And it's hard when you're like, my personality type is that I'm like equal left and right brained, right? So like most people are somewhat artistic or more analytical, right? Or like, the numbers is more important versus, seeing, yes, right? Mine is 50-50. So like, it depends on the day and sometimes it's the minute. So like
I'm right there with you. Yeah.
It's so good, but it's so bad when you have like a deadline because you're like, if your brain's not in it, you
can't force it.
Gears. Yeah. It's so hard. And so I've tried really, really hard over especially the last year to get into a mode where if I have an assignment that I'm not procrastinating and I'm not waiting, because let's be real, if I get to that week before, I can't force it. So like I have to get it done when it's there,
when it arises. Yes.
When the energy is there, you better capitalize on it because otherwise, guess what? There is no forcing it. Now, thankfully, I'm lucky that most of the like relationships I have with manufacturers, they're like, they know who I am and they know me well enough now that they're like, take your time. It's cool. Don't worry about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're like, you just do use there. Like, it's fine. Let us know when you're ready. It's like, it's horrible, but it's also like,
well, I think that's how creativity works and like how, you can't force it. And like, if you force inspiration and crereativity, then like
it always falls flat.
Yeah. You have to wait for it to arise. And that means like not pushing yourself too much and overbooking yourself.
Because burnout is really real, especially in this industry, right? Like it's great to have ideas and goals and to be like, oh, I can get this done in a day. Well, just because you can doesn't mean you will. And life gets in the way. And like, as a mom, it's like, there's nothing worse than you have like that deadline that you're like, I have been delaying this. I've got to get this done. And then my kids are sick. And
right.
I mean, that's always that's just life. That there's no two ways about it. That's just how it goes. And so you have to kind of like really be realistic with yourself and like what you take on, and then allow yourself sometimes to like just kind of veg, like don't do anything. If you're not really feeling super inspired or motivated and it's like a Saturday afternoon, it's okay to just chill on the couch and watch a movie with the kids. Like that's healthy. You know what I mean? Like that's good. I mean, and I wish I had learned that like, I don't know, 10 years ago. That would be really helpful.
I know, right? Balance. Okay. So how did it go from writing the blog and then like, I have like a couple questions within this, but then, so the tools that you review and what you do now did they just come to you and they're like, okay, we want to sponsor you and you make stuff for us? Like, how did that work? Did you just start posting on Instagram?
When I left the previous company, and again, it was a really fun experience. It was just that I just needed a shift. I just needed to make a change to put myself to where I was getting the most out of what I wanted. Right. And I started Tool-Girls-Garage and I just started posting about what I was doing. I mean, the reality is social media, at least for me, the first few years was really just, hey, I'm working on this table build and today I'm working on the joinery. And like, that's it. Like that was the whole story, the whole shebang. But what was neat about it is a lot of people connected with the excitement from it, right? Like I really get pumped up when something goes right. But I'm also like, hey, this is not working. Like sometimes in life, especially with woodworking, it's all trial and error. It's all like, you're going to have 100 successes, but you're going to have 100 failures right there with it. You better just really prepare yourself for that mentally, because there's no two ways about it. And so I think with social, that really grew because people kind of resonated with that attitude, right? That like, it's not always, success is not a linear path. I say that all the time, but like, you're not going to just go up and up. You have to, you're going to get knocked back a little bit. And it's so easy. I think with social media, people tend to feel like all they're seeing is the highlight reel. But like, I think being real is sometimes what people need. And honestly, it's easier for the rest of us if you're in that realm to like sometimes put your guard down a little bit and just be like, dude, things are just not working for me right now. Everything I touch turns to poop and I'm just like having a day. So in that realm, obviously the social media, I've actually only had the Tool-Girls-Garage account for like, it's been a little over 3 years. It's not really been that long since I started from that side. That's really when I started the blog too. I had relationships with power tool companies before, obviously working within the industry, just on a different capacity. So I had a lot of that going into it. But I mean, obviously I grew an audience pretty fast, which was really great. And I say audience because that's what they call it, but that's not really a fair description. It's like I grew a little family. And so to me, I'm like, I know these people, they know me. I'm like, we're invested in each other. And I think that, brands recognize the authenticity behind that. They recognize like the connection, maybe that's the best word, the connection behind those relationships, right? And I think, obviously I had contacts in between a couple of different things after I built up, that kind of community. Yeah, I was approached with offers and it was kind of like, what are you working on with this? Obviously, sometimes I'll reach out and say, hey, I have this new project doing XYZ. I know you have this new tool launching. Do you want me to try to include that in this coverage? Now, sometimes that backfires because then they usually need that content quickly. But also, to be fair, I've had very rare occurrences where a new product will come out and I'm like, I'm not really feeling it. That doesn't happen often, thankfully. The industry has come very far. But every once in a while, something will just be like, really?
Yeah, I love that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm kind of not feeling like this was, and I'll be honest, be like, look, I'm happy to talk about any of the other 500 tools I love from you, but like,
this one sucks.
Let's not do this. Let's move on from this one. But I think there's also, people appreciate that honesty, right? And so a lot of the brands I work with, I'll get tools before they're announced even, and I'll get a chance to kind of play around with them. And if I see anything, I can let them know, which is really cool because like knowing, having that field testing is really valuable for them, but obviously it's valuable for me too, because it keeps me kind of in the loop on technology and what's going on with it and how that's evolving. It's really fun.
Okay.
And so I talk tools with people forever.
Right. What is like taking up the most of your time right now?
Oh,
because like I know you told me, you were like filming and flying and.
So that just happened. I mean, obviously I do a fair bit of traveling because of trade shows, not as much like last year or the year before for, COVID, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously. I did a couple of things, but I really was very selective. My son has an immune disorder, so I wasn't really volunteering to be all about in big groups of people. And also, I wanted to be home and I needed to be in the shop. But this specific opportunity, and I'm still not allowed to say what it is yet, which is killing me because I'm like, I just want to blurt it out because one time I'm going to do it and then I'm going to be in trouble for saying it.
No, I won't ask you. I just want to know kind of like what your days are filled with right now. And are you enjoying it?
Yeah, it's been really different. Like my life is somewhat back to normal now, but I was filming in Los Angeles for 7.5 weeks. I mean, I was back and forth. Like, it was intense. It was really like, it was funny because it happened in the beginning of December. My husband had been in the car business for like 17 years and he'd work like 70 hours a week. And it was really crazy. And we had obviously been talking for quite some time about needing to make a change for our family. And, last year was held a lot of transitions in that realm. Well, he left his job the first week of December. And like less than 2 days later, I got the call for this specific TV show. And it was like the craziest thing because had they asked me a month before, I would have been like, there's no way I can be gone that much. And like, I just don't have our just life wasn't built that. Yeah, it just isn't built that way. And by design, I mean, I wanted to be the one who's like picking my kids up every day and cooking dinner and whatever. And the fact that he was working, it never bothered me because that was what, it made.
That's how you wanted.
Yeah, it's how our life was designed. And so anyway, it became just this really cool thing. And it was really crazy because I've been offered opportunities like that before. Like I've done small little things where it's like a 1-episode deal or whatever. But that was just a weird opportunity. And the company that was producing it or owns the rights to the show had just reached out to me randomly and was like, hey, we'd like to talk. And then it just fell into, it was really crazy.
My gosh. Well, I just want to say congratulations, whatever it is. Sounds amazing.
I know. I'm down. As soon as I can like actually release it, I think it's going to be soon because they had us like approve images for something. And I'm like, that must be it. That must be it. So I'm dying to it because I'm like, everybody's asking and I'm like, I can't say anything. But no, I mean, I've only been home now like 2 full weeks. And I'm just like, okay, I got to finish like the kids' bathroom and, it's just life is back.
And get back to life. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we're slowly getting there.
Got it. Okay. So just kind of what is the thing that you absolutely just love about either your life or your business right now? What's something that's just bringing you?
Oh, man. I said this the other day in a post, ironically, I think it was for International Women's Day. And I said that you should build the life you love, right? My life by no means is easy, right? Especially like with my son, his life has its own set of challenges. We spend a lot of time at doctors, a lot of time in therapy, and it's, the stress can really get really intense at times. But I would also say that, with that, there's this amazing component of like, there's so much healing, right? Every day holds, you have your setbacks, but like, there's so much love there and there's so much joy that it's hard to really begrudge it. It's just really much, that's just our life, right? But I think, when it comes to business, I mean, I finished my shop construction last year. And so now the kids are that much more involved in the day-to-day
stuff. Is
that
shop at your house or is it at a different location?
So I built that last year. Like I hired out the framing only because like having a crew do it, they can do it in like a week and I could do it in like 6 months.
I'll be done in 9 years.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't a cost-effective, good use of time. And it was a horrible time to do it financially just because everything.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I cannot believe I spent $9 for 2x4, but it's fine. We're not going to talk about it. I don't have any like sort of anger about that or anything, but it was a really cool experience to see something go from like a slab to like a structure. And now I've got this amazing shop that's already way too full again. But it was, the kids got to be part of that every day because we did a lot of the finishing happened over the summertime. So they were home from school. It was really neat. And I think now it's finding that marriage of family and work and trying to involve them more and blending it out. My daughter is convinced she is going to be the lead designer of Tool-Girls-Garage, which she calls herself. She gave herself that title. So I'm the owner. I have like no say in this. She's 8 and she's me in mini form. So sometimes like I even have a hard time keeping up with her because I'm like, wait, what? Like my brain doesn't shift as quick as yours does because you're a kid. Slow down. But my son will ask to stay home from school to help me with wood. Like, I mean, what
yeah, sure.
I know. I'm like, and obviously with my husband's like transition with career, I think finding that family, I think that was, we've always been really lucky, but I think just to be able to have a little more control over it, I think is.
Yeah. And be home and
yes. And making it a priority and eating dinner together every night is like, I mean, that's something.
Yeah, non-negotiable. That's how I feel.
Yeah,
too.
I wouldn't have, and we didn't have that. I mean, that was just not our life. It just wasn't how it worked. I mean, and I, again, wouldn't begrudge that. It was great because you really learn, kind of grab life by the you-know-what, if you will.
Yeah.
Like, you have to make it happen. You need to be willing to put the work in. There's nobody to fall back on right now,
Right.
But so it's great because now it's, he gets to be part of the crazy town all the time.
Yeah. Yay.
I know. Sometimes
He's like, I'm going to go back to work.
Yeah. He might say that like once a week or 3 times a day. It's hard to say.
It's fine. Yeah. Every 3 minutes.
Fine.
We don't know.
Well, and the kids are just at that age too. Like,
they're busy. Yeah. My kids are the same age or around the same age. Yeah.
Yeah. 8 and 11. It's like, you just sit there and you're like, what happened? Like every night you're kind of counting the minutes to bedtime. I know that makes me a bad mom to admit that.
No, it doesn't.
I fully do. And then the minute they go to bed, you miss them. And it's like a very strange.
Yeah. Being a mother is a very strange paradigm.
It's like you're just unstable, but you love that. I don't know. I mean,
my kids woke up at like 5:15 this morning and it was my son's birthday on Saturday. He's 8. He just turned 8. And he got these like hover shoes, but it's like a hoverboard, but they're like, now they're separated into like,
oh, wow. That sounds
like
fun.
Ultra death, right?
Yeah. I feel like a broken arm is in your future.
Yes, it's coming. And so what they did was they're sticking pillows on these hover shoes and then racing around the house at like 5 in the morning. It looks like a motorcycle track inside my house right now.
Oh my God. So my son was always like somewhat aware of his like surroundings, and he was always really cautious. Like, I mean, and I say that again, is and isn't, but like when it comes to personal safety, like he was not the kid climbing on the couch kind of deal, right?
Yeah.
My daughter, 100%, she will never learn until she does it herself.
Yeah.
You can say, don't do that.
You want to know how it ended this morning? My daughter like took the post directly to her forehead.
No, that's my daughter though. That's exactly like, they're so, I'm literally, I get so frustrated. Oh. And then I feel bad. The other day she was like my daughter was running around the house in socks. We have wood floors, like slick, well, not wood, they're laminate, right? Yeah. Which I actually hate them, but we're not going to talk about that. And she's like running around the house in fuzzy socks. And I'm like, Abby, you're going to fall. And you know how many times you're like, baby, this is not an ice skating rink. This is our living room.
Yeah.
We have 3 wooded acres. Go outside if you're trying to like run around, but I can't slide on the grass. Like, oh, okay, fine. Right. And so you say over and then she falls. And I'm like, am I supposed to feel bad? Like I literally told you 12, like it's so hard. Cause I'm like, and then I feel like horrible.
When you're like, oh, are you okay?
Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, you're good. Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to talk about that when you get that ice on your forehead. Yeah, exactly. When you stop crying, we're going to really have it out about this. How old is your daughter?
She's 10.
So does it ever get easier?
I don't know. I have an 18-year-old son. He's my stepson.
Okay.
But he is like,
one then.
He's so easy. Yeah. And I'm like, you've given us like no preparation here because you've made it far too easy for us to raise you. And now we have these monsters. So
I say with my son, everything happens like in slow motion to a degree, right? Like obviously, academics, like development, like things just happen kind of on their own pace, right? That's who he is. And that's part of his situation. And it's something you really kind of learn to find the beauty in, right? Because like he'll sit outside and just sit under the trees and you're just
right. You just like
he's such a
I love their
human.
World. Yeah.
Yes. My daughter.
No,
the
my
idea
daughter's
of
the same way with me. She's like a little,
and she's the morning one. My son will sleep. My daughter, she would come downstairs every day at like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. And we finally were like, look,
stay in bed. Yeah.
Read, do whatever you got to do. Like, we're going to teach you how to make your own breakfast, but we are not doing 5:30. Like, don't come at me at 5:30 in the morning on a Sunday.
Right. No, it's not happening. I know. My son when he came down this morning, and I was like, I don't care what you do, but you're not coming down here right now because this is, I call it mommy's quiet time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because like she'll come down like 100% ready for the day. Right. And you're like just waking up. Like I haven't had any coffee yet. My mind's not on. Like, let's be real. It takes me a bit. And she's like, hey, Mom, why is the sky blue? Why are there stars in the sky? How come green grass grows? And then why are the trees green? But why are some trees not? And you're like, oh my God, did you want me to answer? Or are you just letting me know what you're thinking? Like, I can answer, but you're going to have to like,
Yeah. You're going to have to
You're
pause.
going to slow down. Like, oh God, but it's,
Oh my
it's
gosh,
crazy.
that's so funny. Children are so amazing. I love them.
I know, they really are. Like, I wouldn't trade any moment of it. And I'm really glad that I had the opportunity to, like, especially when they were babies, to like soak up all of those memories. Cause I mean, not everybody gets it's like I said, it's a very like privileged thing, and not everybody has the opportunity to do that. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't easy, but it was amazing. And so when I started that business side of things and I really got into that more and started growing it, they've been kind of part of it from the beginning.
Yeah.
So it's kind of neat.
I know. I love it. Okay. So
now my dad borrows my tools.
Oh, there you go. Hey, honey, can I come borrow that?
And I'm like, sure, Dad, anytime you want.
Anytime you want, you can use my shop.
Exactly.
Is there anything that is a struggle or that you're just like find super difficult with? Because I mean, most of your business, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of it is like content creation and online. Are you still building stuff for other people? Is it?
I do occasionally, but
is there anything that you're just like, I hate doing that?
Yeah, I don't like administrative stuff. I hate that part. I hate like the billing and like the invoicing and like negotiations. Like, it's not that I'm not good at it. I just hate it. Anything behind the computer has like gotten to be a very stressful thing for me. And the irony is like content creation is a huge part of that. I still do custom work. I think the thing with it is that it has to be something that inspires me.
Yeah.
And so that is very much so like when I say, okay, it's a luxury to be able to pick and choose what you
want to do. Yeah.
I'm not in a position where like, if I don't take this basic table build or whatever, like then my business goes under. And that's obviously, it takes time to get to that place. And it takes time to get to a point where you can say no. Right. But I think it's like anything else, being diverse in business. So that's where, again, the blog, the content creation. Okay. So filming the show, it's good to have different.
Multiple streams. Do you find it hard to say no?
Oh my God. Yeah. Cause I think I want to make everybody happy. I'm a natural like people pleaser. And I know that if you just work extra hours, you can get it done.
But then like at the sacrifice of what?
Yes,
yeah.
Right. And so, and not only does it come with a sacrifice, but then it's always, like I said earlier, like it's always that week when you've got this deadline that you're like really stressed about, that something goes wrong or something happens and it's just life, or you're just like not sleeping well. It's like little, it's just life. So saying no is hard, but it is hard for me to just stay on top of like the administrative side. It's just hard.
Yeah. Do you have anybody on your team that helps you? Like, do you have,
no,
it's just you do everything?
I do. I did last year for a while, and then she moved on to something else, which was, I understood I knew she had been looking the whole time. I was just hoping that I was going to get lucky and not lose her. But I understood. It was my stepmom, and she's such an amazing human. We're still really close. It's just one of those things that like, I knew she was looking, but I needed help at the time. And so it was a really great fit, but I miss her all the time. I'm always like, are you sure you don't want to come back?
Yeah, you want to come help me?
It wasn't her end game for her career, right? So like, obviously I support her wanting to do that.
Do her path. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I definitely need to, that's been something I've talked about a lot lately, is like, I need to hire somebody to handle that part.
Yeah.
Because obviously like the best way you can manage your time is to take on what you love doing, right? But delegate the stuff that you're not as good at or that you just don't enjoy, because that's the best use of your time, right? And so when you own a business and you're, especially in my position where you're like diversifying and trying to grow, the reality is if you don't stay on top of it, things are going to fall through the cracks, and then you lose business because of it. Nobody wins that way. And so especially like,
are you editing all of your videos and everything?
Yes. And I hate editing videos.
Oh, God.
It's so bad. Like,
awful.
I don't mind
doing all of that.
Ones. I know. I need to sleep or something, but that's another reason, like with the custom work, I haven't done as much in like, especially obviously this year, I haven't really, I do it. I just, like I said, it has to be something that inspires me and that I'm excited about. Like, do I have free reign of it? Is it something never been done before? Is it something that's going to like stretch my mental muscles a little bit? And then obviously, of course, to be fair, I try to come up with projects that suit both sides, so that you're like, okay, not only can I create content from this project, but I'll be able to sell it to this person or whatever. So, and it's that business part of it where you're like, that's great. But you need 6 of you to do all the things you're doing.
Yeah.
But it's like the home renovation stuff, right? Like that's why a lot of what I've done recently has been, okay, hey, I'm going to be redoing like with our upstairs bathroom, right? For our kids' bathroom, they have like this Jack and Jill style bathroom. So I use like epoxy to make the counters. That was, I have an ongoing partnership with Total Boat. And so like, that was a great fit, right? Because it was an obvious way I could utilize that. It was something I wanted to try anyway. And it saved me money, right? So like you kind of, You have to like really
you have to
weigh that.
marry them. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Strategic, but it's also like a lot of planning. And so like, and then there's sinks and faucet. Like I worked with Kraus on that and Mike Holmes. And so there's a lot of like, you know, it's just being a good planner helps a lot. But if I had other people involved, like in the day-to-day stuff that like would take some of the management part off my plate, oh my God, I'd be doing, it would be a great fit. So know how to delegate.
Yeah. Have you tried anything like online, like Upwork or anything like that?
No, I should though. I have a friend who just gave me information for a video editor that they've used. And I think I'm going to try to get them to do a couple of formats.
So hard, like to delegate stuff that you're so used to doing and you have a specific way. And then
I know,
like you just have to give it time, like, and don't get mad at people when they suck the first time, you know, like.
Oh, and I think especially like on the blog side too. So the video editing is a big part of it because that is such a time consuming thing. Especially if you're just not good at it, like no two ways about it. Like the quick videos I can do on my phone, that's no big deal. But like I was just finished editing this video for Rockler Woodworking. And I had like 3 hours of footage that I needed to condense for like 10 minutes. Yeah. And so it was like, and the thing is like after 2 hours of it, I'm like, I don't want to hear my own voice ever again. Like,
I want to stab myself in my eye.
Yeah. I can't. Why am I so annoyed? Like, you know, it's very difficult. I
know when people are playing my podcast, I'm like, turn it off. Like, I'm like, I don't not want to hear myself.
Yeah, I can't. Don't you have headphones or something? Like, I don't really want to hear me. You hear me. I'm good.
I know my message is good,
I can't imagine what that's going to feel like when you're like, I totally believe what I'm saying. Like I said it, I believe in it, but I'm also like, don't tell me. I don't want to
listen to it.
I feel like I'm curious how that's going to be with like the TV show side of things.
Yeah. Just like,
but I haven't
look like
seen that episode. I mean, they're not done yet. Right. But like imagining like I'll be watching, I won't be able to watch it. I'll be like, ooh, like I'll never be able to. Yeah.
I know.
Or like God forbid if we do press for it.
Yeah.
I'll be like, no, I
please
can't
delete all of this. Thank you.
Please don't play that clip. You know how like when somebody's sitting on like a talk show or whatever, not that I think that I'm going to be there, but you know what I'm saying? Like, and they're like in the background, there's this massive screen and it comes on and it's like them in there. It's a clip from their movie or their show. No, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Please don't ever replay my life.
I don't want to watch me on a screen.
My gosh.
Like, please God, no.
Okay. So
I know, right?
I have like one more question.
Okay. Let's hear it.
What is your goal like for your business? Maybe just give me like a 5-year, like what I can tell that you're like a dreamer, visionary. Do you have something out there that you want to achieve?
So, God, that's a really good question. So somebody asked me the other day what my goals for the future was. And I said, I wanted to write a book at some point. I don't know if that's a 5-year goal though. Like, I just want to write a book just because I want to write a book. Like that's it. But for the business, I don't know. I think in the last year, it really taught me if I put less expectation on what I want to happen, it all happens 10 times more than what I would have hoped. Right. And so I think that allowing myself the freedom to like say no to the things that like, I just don't feel good about. I mean, trusting those instincts and saying like, hey, this may be a great, money offer. This may be a great thing, but like, it's just not a fit. It doesn't fit with myself. Refining my brand a little bit, if that makes sense, and what I want to happen, what I want to be showing people. I'd love to obviously, start teaching some, maybe if I could just fit that into the schedule, that would be nice. I'd like to just find balance, keep finding balance, get my kids more involved. I don't know. I mean, all of my goals are like really keep doing what I'm doing and hope for the best. I don't know if that makes any sense.
And write a book. Write that book, girl.
I think it would be a fun story to write. I know it's just a neat thing that I'm like, hi, I can't write a blog, but I'm going to write a book. Like I
they have editors for.
I know. But I'm that person that like will write like 3,000 words on a hammer, right? So like I'm really weird about it. When I get excited, just watch out.
Watch out. You're going to get some vocabulary.
Yeah, it'll be like an encyclopedia of a book. I just think I want to enjoy it, and if something's not lighting my soul, I guess if you would say, then I want to be able to move on. It's funny when Ben was young and I got really back into woodworking and was really enjoying it, especially when I was still in school. I always said that it was like a therapy, right? Like it was like that thing to kind of tune the world out. And even today, sometimes I'll go in the shop and I'm not going to film it. I'm not going to gather content. I'm just going to like separate it, right? Because I'm doing it for myself. So I think finding that balance more would be good.
Yeah. Because sometimes it takes the fun away when you just like can't just do the thing. Yeah.
Exactly. And then, like, let's be real, the internet, it's a great and obviously can be really wonderful, but there's, like somebody today criticized me. Yeah. They said that I must not be paying for my painter's tape because I was using so much. And I laughed. I was like, what? Like, you could have used one. Like, I used two pieces. Like, it's not like I used like the entire, like, it's funny. Like, just sometimes the things people go out of their way to like be critical of, let it go. I mean, I've done much better about that in the last few years. That was a big lesson in the beginning because I took it all to heart. And now it's like, well, there's that saying, and it's not to sound arrogant, but it's like, nobody is going to judge you who's doing more than you, right? Like, if these people are out there doing everything that, you know what I mean? Like, it's so true,
like
though.
Brené's Brown quote, or like basically it was Roosevelt's quote.
Yes, I was like, I'm paraphrasing a quote, like a famous quote, but like at the end of the day,
if you're not in the arena, like doing the thing, then
yes, you're going to be the one buying the tickets, right? Yeah, so it's easy to criticize from the stands when you're not the one doing it, And so I think, learning people. Yeah, making peace with that much more would be a really good lesson,
Yeah, that's hard.
I know, because I care too much, right? Like, it's not.
Well, I think we all do. No human wants to be criticized, or when you're like, but it's putting your stuff out there and being vulnerable and just trying to like serve with the knowledge that you have. I don't know.
Right, and I think there's a misconception that people go into this realm, especially with like social media and all of that. They're like, oh, they like attention. Like, no, honestly, like I would literally like sit at home and not talk to anybody all day and be very happy with that. Like, I'm not that person, but I also, this excites me. So it's easy to be excited about it. Right. But I also, nobody really wants to hear it. Nobody wants to be criticized. Nobody welcomes it. And it's not that I have thick skin, but I'm also like, I do genuinely care about what and I care about what I'm doing. I care about the message I'm sending. I want people to be inspired by it. I don't want people to be like, oh my God, she's a loser. Like,
oh my God, she used so much tape. So dumb.
Oh my God. So why did she use all of that tape? How wasteful. Like, I mean, whatever. And then they also said, it was so funny because I remember thinking, what? Like, who is this? What?
Like,
I'm going to have to send you the comment because it was just like, they were like, you should also get a tape dispenser. And I'm like, what? Okay.
Okay. Blocked.
You're right.
Have a nice day.
I didn't even respond. Like, usually I'm a kill it with kindness person, but I just couldn't. I was
there's nothing to say there.
We're not on the same, we're not playing at the same. Yeah. I can't level. Be mean, we're not going to do that.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's so fun. Okay.
So bad.
Tell me where people can find you if they want to come follow you. Yes.
Okay. So all the social media channels, it's Tool Girls Garage. Obviously my blog is toolgirlsgarage.com. And obviously, like I told you, we've got a big thing coming here soon that I'm like dying to announce hopefully soon.
Follow her.
So there'll be more, but yes, go follow me on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and whatever else.
The places.
And yes, all the places, all the social media. I do suck at TikTok, so don't expect much, but I'm there,
Yeah, I don't even know how to log into my TikTok, but
I love consuming TikTok content though, because I find it funny and I love the creativity of people and the ability to like really open yourself up and like put yourself out there doing like a cheesy dance. Like I admire people. I'm just not that girl. Yeah. So like, I love it, but like, and it's funny.
I try. I'm like, I don't know. I have a TikTok account, but my social media girl handles all of it. And I'm just like, I can only get on.
I need one of those. I need a social media.
You need a couple girls. Yeah.
I've got to get on it. One of these days, and we're going to get there. It's almost there.
You are.
We're going to get there.
By the end of the year. How about this? By the end of the year, you make a goal to hire at least one person.
Oh, I like it. We're going to do it. That's a good goal. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sarah. All right. It was so nice to meet you.
I feel like we had so much lead up to this, so it was good to be able to sit and chat.
Thanks for joining me today on the She Builds Show. My name is Stefanie Olson. My hope is that this episode leaves you feeling empowered and ready to boldly take that step into building the life that you envision, 1 2x4 at a time. And if you can do me a quick favor, please leave me a 5-star review on iTunes. I get giddy over reading the reviews each week, and I will choose one special person to win some She Builds swag. Make sure you add your name to the review, and I'll reach out if you're the winner. Thanks again for hanging out. Be sure to visit me at theshebuildshow.com, where you can ask me questions and share with me what you're building.